Okay, I don't think I've added that much since last video, but it has still taken quite a long time to implement these things. And then there's also the fact that I just haven't been working on this project as much as I have been in the previously. So I haven't spent as much time on it. Here I just made like a bunch of assets for rocks. Let's see, remove that. So I have two variants, list shown here. Technically I have three. This is mossy and this is just, I don't know, some generic stone. The textures or material is probably temporary. I'm gonna make it look better later. I also have a third variant, which is mossy wet, which I have placed in like underneath the water here. And as you can see, it's very laggy, which is due to like being in the shaded view. If I change to solid, it's way better. But so I've like scattered a bunch of rocks under the water here, and these ones are the like mossy wet ones. Then I also have some just mossy ones. Technically this should be like split, where it's like half wet, half well dry, but that system I don't really know how to implement that yet, since I want to minimize the amount of materials I have, which is already kind of not what I'm doing, since this and the like generic one all are three separate materials, but I don't really know how to handle that yet. But yeah, I've added the rocks there. As you potentially saw, the transition to the dirt looks fucking awful now. This is just like some temporary thing I did. I don't remember why I did it exactly. It might have been because I like played around more with the ground shader. So I like just I don't really know, but yeah, the transition is way too smooth. It has to be like sharper by the edge, and the texture itself is just a solid color when it, well, shouldn't be that. It should have some noise in it. You might potentially have also noticed the change of the grass texture. I just messed around a bit with a shader, as I saw a like really cool trick for getting a mask where you took the hue of a noise texture where the noise texture generated like random RGB values. Taking the hue of that gives like a really cool mask. I wanted to credit the place I got it from. It was really smart. Okay, I was searching for what felt like 5 billion years, but if you check here, it was probably like 2 seconds. But yeah, here, this post made by this user showcased this really easy to generate mask that looks really interesting. So I just simply wanted to try it out, and it doesn't look perfect, but I still find it interesting looking. So yeah, I changed the material there a bit. I also added like a billion rocks here by the lake, where I also changed the shape a bit so that the steepness here is a bit less steep. And I think I also increased the depth, although that wasn't really what I like. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened when I sculpted the terrain a bit. I will have to increase the poly count by the edges, since the transition to sand doesn't look very good. Although that is partly just because I haven't made the like shader make the transition have like a texture or anything. It's just like a linear, what is it called? Linear transition, or I don't really know what it's called. But yeah, so that is something I have to implement later. You can also see that the like deeper you go, the darker it is, to like simulate, I don't know, light not being able to reach the bottom. That is completely accidental. That is because I don't know, I don't remember exactly. I think I like somehow accidentally applied the like dark or wet dirt texture to like underneath here, but that turned out to be good, because now I at least know of one potential way of like simulating the depth. I don't know if simulating is the right word, but I don't know, making the water look good with the depth. Although I am thinking of alternative methods for that, since this does have some problems, although maybe they're not that important. I don't really know yet. One thing I noticed now, because I hadn't really turned on material preview or like rendered view up until now, I added this like wet or mossy wet rocks under the water, because, you know, obviously they're going to be more wet than these ones, but it doesn't look very good by the surface here. Like this is still completely wet, even though you would expect it to be more dry. So it might be pretty important for me to soon try to come up with a solution for making the material able to be like both wet and dry for like with the same texture. The only problem is that these are linked duplicates of these rocks here, meaning pretty much that they are how do you explain it? I'm just gonna show. So if I make a duplicate of this rock, then I can do like whatever the hell I want with this one, and nothing's gonna happen. But if I do a linked duplicate, I did a different shortcut, then the data between these two are going to be linked. So as you can see, all these three are, or four I guess with this one, are linked with each other, and that is also the case for like a bunch of rocks here. I should be able to see that in the distance. So they like share data, which I assume makes it like more performant or something, which is why I did it. But it might be difficult now if I have to implement some system that makes them have some separate data for knowing if they're wet or dry. It might not be that bad, but I don't know. What was it I was gonna say more? That was poorly grammatically, whatever. I don't need to criticize everything I say. If you wondered why this one wasn't affected when I moved this around, it's because this is not, or these two are not linked duplicates. This is the like source mesh, I guess, which has a bunch of modifiers here for generating the like actual rock, but here I have applied all those modifiers so that it's actually like a how do you say it, like pre-calculated mesh, I guess you could say, which is way more performant. If I move this around, it's really fast, but if I do this, then it like explodes. It's not super clear, but it is way more laggy, and might also be I assume that it like also affects render times. So imagine having like 5 billion of these with redundant modifiers. That's not gonna be very fun. It was right. Now I remember. I've also begun to work on the sky shader, although it's very work in progress right now. It's just okay. It's just pretty much random noise. For a while, I've been really interested in the idea of making like a sky shader where the sky has like distinct separations in colors with like noisy borders, and this is not really what I had in mind. I'm not entirely happy with it yet, so it does require a lot more work. But yeah, I am still interested in the idea of making the borders noisy, I guess. But yeah, now that I recorded this, I realized that I definitely have to improve the system for how the rocks are textured, I guess. Materialized. Yeah, that's the proper use of that word. So yeah. How long is this recording? I think that's it. Yeah, now I'm just getting the typical anxiety, if that is the right word, of like that there is something that I want to mention that I just missed, and then when I like stop recording a bit later on, I just think like, oh shit, I forgot to mention that. Well, I guess we'll see how it goes. Bye.